And now the central bank has announced that its 297th Monetary Policy Committee meeting will hold on September 23rd and 24th of 2024. That's next week. The two-day event is scheduled for the bank's headquarters as usual in Abuja. According to the statement from the Apex Bank on Wednesday, the meeting will focus on reviewing the country's economic and financial conditions and determining the appropriate monetary policy direction for the short to medium term. You will recall that recently, that's on Monday precisely, the National Bureau of Statistics reported that inflation rate had decelerated for 2 consecutive months, from 34.19% in June to 33.40% in July, and now 32.15% in August. Let's talk to an investment and economic development expert, Mr. Ogbonna Ukuku. He joins me live from our Abuja studios. Good afternoon. It's good to have you on the show. It's been a while.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, I think it's good to start on that positive note. We've seen 2 months back-to-back decline with regards to inflation. And some say this looks like some of the policies instituted by the Apex Bank seems to be paying off. What is your understanding of this? What do you think is responsible? Were you expecting a decline?
No, I wasn't expecting the decline. Like I said, I posted in my social media handle this morning. I said inflationary pressure will actually give birth to better days in Nigeria. But all we need to do is to take advantage of our lifelines and then situate properly our lifestyle as a nation. So having said that, so what the policy direction of the central bank actually is giving, is helping, stabilize the markets, stabilize, prices in the economy. And that also shows that the tightening has actually paid off, because if you don't tighten, what it gives birth to is something that you wouldn't like as an economy, because the economy will not, because when you have so much monies, in the hands of people, so people will spend on things that they need and things that they don't need. So in reality, the tightening, policy that the central bank has actually been pushing towards is actually beginning to pay off.
Well, it's good to start this conversation that way, but I would say let's look at the forex policy many have talked about. Well, we see that yesterday there was a report of more liquidity and the Naira seems to be appreciating against the greenback. How does that also come to you with how the CBN has been managing the FX space?
Now, so what the central bank did was to start from the beginning, which is allow the market forces, determine how much the actual price of your currency is. So that's like build a base. So the foundation has been built. So what you now do is to strategically, make sure that the FX market is somewhat not controlled, but you release FX to the important and the productive sector of your economy, not people just having access to FX because they have they know one person or the other, or people just have an advantage, or So what they have done actually is to be able to curb the appetite of most Nigerians, so that they now know that the FX is not just a currency that you just spend, but it's a currency that you must strategically spend to, encourage productivity as far as your country is concerned. So, and again, what has been happening in the petroleum sector is also beginning to, pay off, because at the end of the day, you now have the right liquidity that you will use to, finance, other obligations, other FX, foreign exchange obligations that you have as a nation.
I'd like you to now say, let's look at what do you think would shape discussions at the coming MPC meeting? It's to happen on Monday and Tuesday next week. What do you think would take charge of decisions around this meeting as we expect it to happen next week?
Okay, a few things I know that would actually, shape the conversations would be: one, the Federal Reserve Bank of the U.S., their decision to lower rates. Two, we need to consider the price of petroleum products in Nigeria and what its effect will be on the economy, on consumer goods, and then if there are going to be, if we're going to have some shocks as regards prices. as far as goods and services are concerned. So we need to look at, so what are the things that we're going to do at this time so that we'll, also look at how much our tightening has actually, tightening of the policy tightening has actually benefited the economy. And then with that, the decisions will be drawn from those factors. So are there areas we need to invest more? Are there areas we need to advise the fiscal policy managers where to direct their investment, if it's in infrastructure, if it's going to be in some areas that will support productivity, because that's actually one of the things that we need at this time. So I think those are the factors that will arrange the conversations that's going to happen at the MPC meeting on the 23rd.
But what I would like to ask, well, I don't know if you would like to answer that. Maybe, do you think there will be a hold? Do you think there will be an increase, considering the fact that players in the real sector have talked about the impact of the increase of rates in recent times? They are talking about it, they cannot lend more because of the rates and all of that. So do you think that there could be a raise or there could be a retention? If that happens, what could be the impact and the present level that we have with interest rates? What do you think? What does it mean for the economy?
I think basically there will be a further tightening. Why? Because if the cost of energy or petroleum product definitely was going to go up, and that will actually affect the price of goods further. So I think we should tighten further a bit more, so that from now till December we'll see whether we'll begin to loosen up a bit. But for now, I still think because of the inflationary pressure that will come on the economy due to the high cost of petroleum products, I think that the central bank, I predict that the central bank will tighten further.
But are you looking at the impact of this on the real sector?
Now I see everybody, the real sector, whether we like it or not. So if it's a productive sector, I assume that what we should do is, that's why I'm actually very, is in line with what have been, my thoughts are. If you have inaugurated the board of the Bank of Industry, that means you actually, the fiscal policy managers are beginning to understand that what we need to do at this time is to have a strategic engineering, financial engineering that will support the productive sector of the economy. So what you need to do at this time is to support your development finance institutions so that they will have enough liquidity, and then they are targeting certain sectors of the economy, and that's where the money is going into. So if you say real sector in general, some of these funds go into importation of goods and services that we don't really need. So what we need to do is to support and make our development finance institutions more robust, give them the strength that they need and then the capacity that they require, so that they will be able to lend to the manufacturers, lend directly to those, the farmers, those who will provide the raw material that we need to support the industries that would actually, bring about the productivity that we are actually asking for at this point.
Directly again to the CBN, what do you think they should be doing? I know you've highlighted some in your first submission, but in the face of this high inflation, do you have a direct message or your expectation from the CBN to address or to rein in on inflation?
No, like I said earlier, you see, all we need to do is to, yes, it's going to bite hard. It's biting hard on everybody. But the reality is when you build a right foundation, so building becomes a lot easier. So what we do, or what I think, what I would recommend, even if I have the opportunity to recommend to the central bank, is there are a few areas, some financial, product that they should come up with, like the kind of thing we had when we wanted to increase our production when it comes to rice. So there has to be a direct focus on cassava. Now, I say cassava because there are some promises that the president made, and every time I remember that promise, it takes me back to what cassava can actually do for us as a nation. Cassava has the capacity to generate over 50 million jobs, and that's actually one of the things that the president promised. And then cassava has the capacity of bringing over $1 trillion naira into the economy because of the experts bank, as we speak, on cassava alone, spending over $670 million on importation of things around cassava, glucose syrup, starch, ethanol. So these are things that if we now, do a backward integration and begin to focus on creating products that will focus on cassava value chain alone. Look at it. Nigeria is the highest producer of cassava in the world. And Nigeria earns less than $2 million from cassava. And the second largest producer of cassava, Thailand, earns about $2 billion from cassava. What does that tell you? It tells you that we are not paying attention to our lifelines, the lifelines that we have. So if I am to advise the central bank or the fiscal policy managers, I will tell them, pay attention to some of these lifelines that God has given to us and see how we can regenerate and then, engender productivity as far as the country is concerned.
Great stuff there. Let's stay with agriculture, food inflation. You touched on it already, and it's good that we talk about it. Everyone wants to eat. We all have to eat. We've seen a bit of slowdown too, but many say it's harvest season. Maybe that's why we are having a bit of slowdown in the price of the likes of tomatoes and all of that, that after this season, there might be issues. We also see flood threatening some areas in the north eastern side or part of the country. What do you make of the present level of food inflation in Nigeria? And can we provide some solutions at this time? Any quick wins for the agricultural space?
No, for now. So I think one of the things we must do is to pay attention to storage. If you pay attention to storage, so the high yield that we're going to get, experience in this season, we should be able to take full advantage of it. Then whenever I hear things like flood, I really get worried because, one, there are things, because if we have a proper structured irrigation system, we shouldn't be doing in and out of season kind of agriculture. So we should have gotten to that level where you can actually cultivate everything at every point in time, every season. So I think, so we need to pay a lot of attention when it comes to agriculture. Now, the flood, yes, is affecting our food belt. So a lot of attention we need to pay a lot of attention, on the other regions where we can actually, produce some of these crops. There are crops that won't take so long. The cycle doesn't take so long. So we need to also look at those as low-hanging fruits, things like maize, beans. The cycle is always, very fast. Even rice. So these are, cycles within 6 months you'll be able to get your harvest. So I think investments should go in there, and then we should pay attention on how to take advantage of our water bodies. Yes, if you control your water, you can actually push it to the right direction. So what I mean is the devastation that comes from flooding, gives us the thinking cap on how to redesign our water bodies to use it for proper irrigation, because that's one of the issues that those in the northern area of Nigeria are always complaining. We need proper irrigation, and then you're having flood in the same place. So that means that somebody's not thinking well. So we need to pay attention and see how we can take advantage of those.
Now, let's talk about synergy, or almost finally. Let's talk about synergy. The central bank might be doing a lot, but there's supposed to be an handshake. You know what I'm talking about. For them to be able to actualize that inclusive growth that everyone is talking about. Do you see that handshake? We have a Taiwo Edele-led committee that is looking at tax reforms, looking at how to regulatory framework and all of that, trying to make it better, easier, seamless for people to pay taxes and make it more government more accountable to the masses. Now, do you think that we have that handshake at the moment, considering all of the efforts of the Apex Bank and what is coming from the fiscal side?
Now, it's a lot. So when it comes to, I actually don't envy those at the fiscal policy, angle, because, you see, for the monetary policy, the structure is well defined. So whenever policies come out, you can see it and then it works. Now, when it comes to, fiscal policy managers, you have the legislators in there. You have the subnationals in there. So first things first, so there has to be a confluence within the fiscal policy managers, so where everybody knows where we have comparative advantage. So working, yes, in Synergy at the federal level, you can see the handshake is very conspicuous, very obvious. They meet, from time to time. They talk to each other. Policies are being, there's harmony when it comes to, policy direction. But when it comes to subnationals, how do we get the subnationals to, hook their wagon onto what's going on at the federal level? So we need to pay attention to that. And as soon as we pay attention to that, we'll begin to see, maximum results. Because whether we like it or not, I keep going back to the point. Now at the federal level, we can design the best products from the financial engineering point of view. But I mean, whether we like it or not, the cultivation must happen in a state. So if the state governors are not paying attention to agriculture, it gives you no room. So you are limited in your approach, in the results that you're about to get. So it makes it a bit difficult. So there has to be that confluence. There has to be that sit down. We need to sit down and have a conversation on how to drive the economy at this point in time. And then again, we have to be sector specific. We have to be, sector-specific driven. And then again, foreign direct investment is something we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention on, being able to drive foreign direct investment at this point in time, because that's what we need. We need that transfer of technology. We need those resources, because that will also help us push our currency up further.
Very serious. Now, finally, before I let you go, the price of PMS Petrol, you've also mentioned it, is going up already. We see it 900 and all of that. And some say that we're yet to see the impact of this even on inflation. How does that come to you?
Yes, of course. It's like I always say, the supply shock is what I would predict that would definitely happen. So when that happens, because the high cost of PMS would actually affect the cost of goods. So when that happens, which is why I predicted there's going to be a further tightening or maybe stay. But I mean, I think the further tightening would actually, pay more if you are trying to fight inflation. So that will come. So there has to be that, we need to strategically look at how to, support certain sectors, especially when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to food supply, when it comes to the value chain within the agro space and raw material supply. So with that, I think in the long run, we'll be better off. But short term, yes, that will come because of the supply shock that will happen with the high cost of petroleum products right now.
And the FX market also has... I just want us to wrap up with this. Do you think that with the support of the BDCs and all of that, do you think that we could be able to address this disparity that we still see in the FX space, looking at the efforts of the Apex Bank?
I don't think the disparity is that conspicuous anymore like it was previously. So now the disparity is not much. So and then again, the control system that the central bank is actually using when it comes to the BDCs is actually becoming very effective. So I think we should talk to our conscience more, and then again, try to make people do the right thing, not expect them to do the right thing. So that's why I always use the word control. Is actually because the biggest error in strategy and growth or economic development is to expect people to do the right thing. Man by nature does not like to do the right thing. So you must make man do the right thing. So if the BDCs have to be controlled for now because they're used to that whole, being able to do whatever they like. But with that level of control, I'm being very specific with the words control. It will actually help, the efficiency in the FX market, and then make sure that the foreign exchange that we have been able to earn, we are, directing them to the right portfolios that will actually yield better result for us as a nation.
Mr. Ogbonna Ukuku, I must thank you so much, investment and economic development expert. Thank you for making sense of this topic of discourse. To enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk after the MPC meeting and see what happens afterwards. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.